Okay, before we move on to our character animation lessons, I just want to give you guys an explanation of all the file types that you will see moving forward with your Adobe After Effects journey. So throughout the lessons, we do have resources in the resource pack, so you can simply just download those projects. But after this course, you will need things to practice with. So I will mention those websites where you can get those items to practice with in a second. But for now, let's go over the file types that you will find throughout your journey. And I will explain what each of these are and mainly focus on the ones that you will see when you're trying to work with After Effects. All right, so number one is what we already know. It's Adobe Illustrator file. We've seen this in the previous lessons. It's created using Adobe Illustrator. It's great for high quality graphic files like logos, vectors, character designs, and all of that. When you're downloading things from the internet, you will most likely get Adobe Illustrator files. So this is the main one that you will see. And now let's move on to the next one, which is the EPS file, which stands for Encapsulated PostScript file. Basically, this is also another thing that you will get. Sometimes the vectors you download are in EPS formats. That just means that you have to open it in Adobe Illustrator, which I will show you in a second. So just imagine 5 pieces of paper. You want to carry it around. It's hard because they'll slip out your hand. Maybe you'll lose a few. So the best thing to do is to put all of those papers in a folder, close that folder, and you're just carrying one item with you. That is the one folder. So that folder is EPS file. And if you want to read those papers one by one, you would have to open the folder, read those papers, and then put them back if you need to. So just imagine EPS as that folder. It's great for keeping things closed, for maybe publishing. A lot of these creators on these vector platforms give EPS files because it's a lot easier to upload and for it to hold its quality. So this is another format that you will be seeing a lot. Next is PSD, which stands for Photoshop Document. It's for Photoshop, and this is something you might get mostly when you're dealing with character designs and illustrations. You will be seeing these two, but there are rare times where you might see PSD files. You can open this with Photoshop if you know how to use it, maybe change a few things, but you can also open it in After Effects. So all of these guys, you can open them in After Effects, except this one, which you can, but there is a thing about it that I'll mention soon. So just focus on these 3. This is the files that you will be getting to open in After Effects. So when you import, these 3 formats will be the formats that you will be using the most. Next is JPEG, which stands for Joint Photographic Expert Group Photo File. It's a long name, but this is for exporting, and the rest of these are as well, except for this. We'll get into that. When you export your project, which in After Effects you won't really be dealing with flat exports like JPEG, PNG, TIFF, and all that. But basically, I will just explain it if you need to. If you need to know, JPEG is like a compressed photo file. So it's great for quickly uploading things and sending them around. TIFF files are the tagged image format file, which is great for printing. So if you have a graphic work, maybe your graphic design poster, you will most likely have to export it to TIFF to keep the quality, keep the details, and keep everything sharp even after you print it. Then we have PNG, which is Portable Network Graphic File. This is another export option that you get. You also saw in previous lessons we get to import PNG and JPEG files, but they're flat. There are no layers in them. So this is a more high quality version of exporting. It's like JPEG, but you get to have a lot more detail in there. It's usually a heavier file size. You also get to have transparent backgrounds with PNG files. Then we have INDD, which is Adobe InDesign. That's another program. You won't really see this, so I won't really get into this. We have PDF files. I'm sure you all know what PDF is, not something you will be seeing in After Effects. Then finally, we have GIF files, which is graphical interchange format file. This is something that you may use if you want a looping animation, which we already went over in the previous chapter in motion graphics. So basically with this one, you get to animate anything you want and then have that animation continuously loop for however long that video is seen. So now that we know the formats that we're going to be dealing with going forward with the course, we can now move on to the websites where you can get them. So I brought some websites here, and these are really easy to find, and they have pretty good vector illustrations, as you can see. And a lot of times they're free. For example, this one's free. Some of them are paid. You just have to look and see what works best for you. And if you notice, if I go on one of these, you can see AI EPS. So that means I have the option to either download this illustration in Adobe Illustrator file or an EPS file. So that's great. You can go in here, search your related thing, and just download things in here. Another website, the name of this website is allfreedownload.com. Another website is freevector.com. This has vectors. You can see you just have to search for the ones you want. And let me go in one and see what is our option. So it doesn't really tell us the option, but it will probably be EPS or Adobe Illustrator files. But you gotta be careful. A lot of times these are sent as JPEG files, so it's a flat image. So if you don't want that, make sure you read the description and then download it. This is another website. And then we have Freepik, which is my personal favorite. It has a lot of options for both free and paid. You can look for PSD files, vector files, which is the AI and EPS files. You can search anything you want. The character designs are pretty nice. Sometimes it's done by Freepik themselves or other artists written down here. So this is my personal favorite. I do suggest that you download from here just because their work is more professional and more organized than other websites that I've been to. So this is a great place to get it. And apart from vectors, you can get images, videos, and overlays, and so much more. Finally, we have Wavetazy. I guess that's how you say it. This one again has free, pro, editorial use only, and you get to, again, just like Freepik, search things up here and download them. And yeah, so these are just a few examples of where you can get these vector projects. I did want to mention something. When you're dealing with free work, like it's available for free, you will have to attribute the artist. So basically it means that if you're using this for your project, down below, you have to write designed by either Freepik or for example, this person's name. You can see down here, it's written designed by Freepik, and it says free for personal and commercial purpose with attribution. So make sure you attribute the artist in your thing. That way you can avoid any problems moving forward. Alright, so this is where you get them, and I just went ahead and downloaded things. You can see here vector and EPS format. I went ahead and downloaded one of these projects that we're going to be using in one of our lessons, and I'm going to show you how you can prepare the file. So let's close this. So this is what I downloaded. It's profile icons. You can see I got this from Freepik. This is usually what you get. You get an AI file, an EPS file, and a JPEG file. JPEG is for preview. Adobe Illustrator and EPS files are for the actual vector art. So I opened the Illustrator file. This is what it looks like. You can see I have a lot of things, but sometimes I just want to work with one of these characters. I don't want all of them. So a way to fix that is to, let me first move here, to open the layers and just go in the objects, which is where all the characters are in. Go here and then release to layers. And make sure you choose release to layer sequence, not build. And then simply I can drag all of these and bring them above objects. I can delete object. Now instead of one flat, like one layer containing all of these, I can just get each of these individual ones. First, I will choose the one I want, which is this person. I'll delete the rest because I don't need them. Yes, there it is. But then again, I want the stuff in the layers. So the hair, the eyes, and all that. Click that again. Release to layer sequence. Another one. Release. Release. There's usually a lot of layers like this, unfortunately. You just have to keep going until you find the layers you're looking for. Finally, we got the circle. And this is the person. If you open that, we have the eyes. You can see we're slowly getting there. So I'm just going to release this one. And yeah, so this is how you release them. If you move in like that, this is the shirt. That's the collar. Got the face again. Release that. Release that. See, there's so much layers. So you just gotta go in as much as you need to until you find the layers that you're looking for. And you just want to bring them above layer 7. And then you can easily just save this as, just go to File, Save As. Save it as an Adobe Illustrator file, but maybe put it on a different location on your computer and then rename it to something that you want. Okay, so we have this. I'm going to fix this by keep moving in the groups until I find my layers. Then I'll be back so we can open it in After Effects and see the difference. Alright, so I separated them. You can see I have a background and each of these parts are separate. So we can see, I think I left the neck. Alright, so let's just open that. I'll show you one more time. And also when you're trying to move them, just make sure you move them using the side and not the middle. Basically, it means that instead of grabbing it from here, you need to grab it from here. So just do that, move it out, place that on top. Okay, so I have this, and unfortunately, because there was other things, we have a lot of space and we need to get rid of them. Grab all of these guys, hold down Control or Command, and just make them bigger. And I'm just moving them a little bit to the side so we can see the character. You can always resize this in After Effects. You don't have to do this, just make sure it's inside the artboard. Alright, now I can go ahead and save it. File, Save As. Let's call this Fixed. As Adobe Illustrator. Save. I hit OK. So it's going to save, and now we have fixed the project that we downloaded to the way that we want it. So let's jump into After Effects and we'll see how this works. Alright, we're here in After Effects. Let's go ahead and double click in the project panel. So I'm first going to bring the layer that we downloaded. This is the original one. Import as, composition. Let's first do this and then we'll bring the one we fixed. Alright, so if you open this layers, you can see we only have 2 vector arts and they're all merged. So if I bring this in here, I don't really have access to each of these individual ones because we didn't separate the layers, and we're just left with a flat image essentially. And we can't really animate each of these characters separately. So this is why you need to convert the files in the way that you want them. So if you're planning on animating the eyes, the eyebrows, and all of that, you definitely need to separate those layers and get rid of anything else that you don't need. So I'm also going to bring in the EPS file, delete all that, which was in the file as well, import as, composition. So this is the same thing with the EPS file. If you open it, you can see we have a singular layer. And that again is just a flat layer. If I double click, I can't access anything. I'm just in the layer. because like we said, EPS is the folder containing all of our documents. So now let's bring our Adobe Illustrator file that we fixed. So double click, go to Fixed, Import as, Composition, Retain Layer Sizes. If we open the layers, you can see we have a lot of layers. If I double click on the composition, all of the layers are going to show up. And if I need a specific amount of layers, let me make a composition. I can open this guy up and maybe I need layer 2. I can just bring it in here. So I only have this instead of everything else. And yes, we can see we have each of these layers separately, and this allows me to just work with them separately. I can also rename, as we know, if it helps. It does help actually. So this one would be color. This one would be the background circle. Yep, background circle. And so on it goes. I want to show you guys the PSD file as well. You will not see it that often when you're downloading, but if you don't know Adobe Illustrator, you can save it as a PSD file. Let me show you how it works. Let me just go back to Adobe Illustrator real quick. We're back in Adobe Illustrator. I also separated the nose and the mouth and all that. So now every single layer in this illustration is separate. So go to File, Export As. And you can put it here. Down here, we have the option to save it as PSD or any other file that you want. Put it on PSD, hit Export, RGB. Just make sure that it's not flat image, it's right layers. So we have all these layers in Photoshop as well. Hit OK. And now it's writing Photoshop file. So now I have the Photoshop file. If I bring it here, we have .psd. So if you don't know how to work with Adobe Illustrator, you can just export it as Photoshop, and that way you're going to be able to edit things, rename things in Photoshop. Now let's go back to After Effects. All right, we're back in After Effects. Let's double click, fix.psd, composition, retain layer sizes. Make sure it's on editable layer styles, not merge layer. Because if you merge it, it's just going to be an image. All right, so we have like the AI folder. We have all the layers here. You can see there's quite a lot. And we can also double click on Fixed and get all the layers. You can see this is the eyeball. Everything is separate. Depending on which program you know, you will choose your preferred file type. And if you don't know how to use any of those programs, you just need to, I would suggest having Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, because most of the formats are going to be in that way. And just follow what I said in this lesson, and then you'll be fine. So now that we know how to convert layers, how to separate the layers and rename and all that, we can now get started with our character animation lessons.